Now I have for you 3 beers. I have Landshark Island Style Lager, which is an American Adjunct Lager from Florida, and it's got 4.7% ABV. It's got a beer advocate score of 62, which is not good. I have Corona Extra, which is a Mexican beer. It has 4.6% ABV, a beer advocate score of 54. So, evidently, beer advocate community thinks that it's worse than Landshark. I have Dos Equis, which has a 4.3% ABV, a beer advocate score of 64, and this is also an American Adjunct Lager. So, I'm going to be comparing 3 American Adjunct Lagers, and we'll see if I can tell the difference between them. I'm not going to be mixing up the glasses, unfortunately, but I'll just see. So we had a little smoke come out of there. It was bubbling. This is the Landshark. Now let's pour this. We've got a bit of carbonation to it, and I can hear it fizzing. It's like pouring a soda. Man. Yeah, looks like I need a bottle opener for that. No smoke coming out of there. Doesn't seem to be as carbonated. Not as bubbly. I don't hear any kind of fizz. So we have Corona right here, Landshark here, and the appearance is pretty much identical. Let's see, the Corona is 4.6, the Landshark is 4.7, Dos Equis is 4.3, so that's the weakest. Yeah. I didn't see any smoke come out of there either. Alright. So here's the Dos Equis and here's the Corona. They look basically the same. The Dos Equis seems to have a bit more of a head to it, but then it might have been that last bit that I poured. This has a bit of a malty flavor, or malty aroma to it, the Landshark. The Corona smells about the same as the Landshark. I can't really tell a difference between them. And Dos Equis. Weaker, definitely weaker. This is the weakest in alcohol, but that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be the weakest smelling. But in this case it is. Alright. They all have some bubbles coming up, but it looks like there's more bubbles coming up in the Landshark. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see if if it really is more carbonated. Practically no aftertaste. Not much of a flavor when it first goes in either. It's like drinking water almost, flavored water with carbonation. It's a pretty weak, flavorless beer. Corona. The Corona actually tastes more carbonated, or feels more carbonated, and there is a stronger flavor to the Corona than the Landshark. And that's interesting because Corona is the lowest score that Beer Advocate gave of these three. So we have Landshark of 62, Corona of 54, and Dos Equis of 64. So according to Beer Advocate, this is the best, followed by this and then this. Now let's try this Dos Equis. A weak follow-up. Smooth going in. Not much of an aftertaste. Weaker than the Corona. Very weak. The flavor between all three of them is virtually the same, except it's just different levels of strength that the flavor has. With this being the strongest, followed by this, and Landshark coming in last. So, if you don't like flavorful beers, if you like beers that you can drink and really not taste too much out of, then get the Landshark. I can definitely tell the difference between these three beers, whereas other adjunct lagers is more difficult, like Budweiser and Miller High Life. I can't tell the difference between those two. And if I include Michelob in there, which is not an adjunct lager, I can barely tell the difference between it and Budweiser and Miller High Life. But I can tell the difference between these three, with this one being the strongest. If I had to choose between these three, I would choose the Corona, based on the flavor, the strength of the flavor. You can definitely taste it. I mean, it's weak, like a typical American adjunct lager, but compared to these other two, it's stronger. Now let's try the Dos Equis again. Yeah, there is just a little bit more flavor and more punch to the Corona over the Dos Equis. So if I'm in a Mexican restaurant and they have Corona or Dos Equis available as a lager, then I'd probably choose the Corona based on this taste test. And if they had Landshark, I think I'll pass. Now, keep in mind, this is only one trial, and there can be variances in the bottles. I got these three beers at Kroger. I didn't want to get a 6-pack in each. Unfortunately, Kroger has it where you can select different beers and stick them in a 6-pack, and you can buy a 6-pack of mixed beers for $10. I didn't want a 6-pack of each one of these, because then I'd have to drink a 6-pack of Landshark and a 6-pack of Corona and a 6-pack of Dos Equis. This isn't my kind of beer. If I'm going to drink, when I drink beer, when I'm not doing taste tests, I prefer craft beers. I prefer ales and IPAs, stouts. Those beers are rather strong. They're much more flavorful. But, that's just my preference. Now, you might be able to find where I've done taste tests with American beers and included some lagers from Munich. And also, they are very similar to the American beers. So, you hear a lot of people saying, these American beers suck, drink the German beer. Well, you can barely tell the difference. So, the one of the common themes that keeps showing up in these taste tests are the ridiculousness there is of brand loyalty. So when you stick to one beer and you say all the other beers suck, like I'm a Miller High Life drinker, Budweiser sucks, no, you can't tell the difference. You're just being stupid. No, in this case, this Landshark, it is weaker, but that's, like I said, it's just one trial. Maybe I got a bottle that was exposed to light or shaken up more, so I don't know. We'd have to probably do, a number of trials to see, but in this case, for this particular taste test, I'm choosing Corona as number one, even though the beer efficacy score says it's the worst. But they're probably biased by whatever, by brand type. Dos Equis, number two. It's very similar to the Corona. You might as well be drinking pretty much the same thing. The Corona in this case is just a little bit stronger. Landshark, number three. It's weak. A bit weaker than these two. So, there you have it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.